When we talk about habits that keep people poor forever, one of the most damaging, yet surprisingly common, is the tendency to live beyond your means. It sounds simple, but it's a trap many fall into without even realizing it. You see, it's not always the big purchases that bury people in financial struggle. Sometimes it's the little decisions made daily. The unnecessary coffee runs, the latest phone upgrade, the car you don't actually need, but feel pressured to have because everyone else is driving one. It's the quiet accumulation of choices that eat away at your stability and leave you chasing a lifestyle you can't actually afford. The real problem with living beyond your means is that it creates an illusion of success. On the outside, it may look like things are going well. You have the newest gadgets, you wear the trendiest clothes, maybe even drive a car that impresses your friends. But beneath the surface, there's a silent struggle. Credit card balances rising, loans stacking up, no savings, no security, and no real plan. And here's the truth. If the picture of your life is built on debt and constant overspending, then no matter how nice it looks, it's fragile. The smallest crisis, a medical bill, a lost job, a family emergency, can shatter it instantly. What makes this habit so dangerous is how comfortable it feels at first. Swiping a card for dinner, financing a new gadget, upgrading your lifestyle little by little. It doesn't feel like a big deal in the moment. You convince yourself you'll handle it later, that you'll pay it off eventually, or that you deserve it after working so hard. But the later never comes, because once you're on that treadmill of spending, you're always one step behind. You're always working to pay for the past instead of building for the future. And the cost isn't just financial, it's mental. Think about the weight of constantly worrying about bills, about the shame of dodging calls from creditors, about the stress of wondering how you'll make it through the month. That kind of pressure eats away at your peace, your confidence, even your ability to dream bigger. You start to accept survival as normal instead of aiming for growth. You end up living in a cycle of just getting by instead of creating real freedom. Now, I'm not saying you should never enjoy life, or that you should deny yourself everything. The problem isn't treating yourself now and then. It's when those treats become your lifestyle, when they outpace your income, when you build a pattern of consumption that your reality can't support. True wealth, true success doesn't come from showing off what you have. It comes from controlling what you keep. The discipline to live within your means isn't about restriction. It's about creating space for opportunity. When you stop chasing the next purchase and start focusing on building stability, suddenly you have money left to save, to invest, to grow. Think of money like water in a bucket. If you keep pouring more out than you pour in, eventually the bucket is empty. And when the bucket is empty, it doesn't matter how much you wanted to drink from it. You'll have nothing left. But when you control the flow, when you make sure you're not letting it spill endlessly, the bucket fills up. Over time, it overflows, and that overflow is what creates freedom. That overflow is what builds options, choices, and security. Living within your means doesn't mean settling for less. It means setting yourself up for more stability, more opportunities, more freedom. It means saying no to the trap of looking wealthy today so that you can actually be wealthy tomorrow. The discipline you practice now, even in the small things, becomes the foundation for everything else in your financial life. Because if you can't control $1, you'll never control 10. And if you can't control 10, you'll never control 1,000. So, when you feel that urge to buy something just to keep up appearances, when you feel the temptation to stretch your income to impress others, remember this: no one else is going to pay your bills. No one else is going to rescue you from debt, and no one else is going to build your future for you. That responsibility is yours. And if you truly want freedom, if you truly want to break the cycle of poverty, the first step is simple. Stop living beyond your means. Another habit that keeps people trapped in poverty, no matter how hard they work, is ignoring financial education. You can be the most dedicated, the hardest worker in the room. But if you don't understand how money works, you'll always be chasing it instead of making it work for you. The truth is, many of us grew up without ever being taught about money. We were told to go to school, get good grades, find a job, and everything would work out. But what nobody explained is that without financial knowledge, if even a good job can leave you stuck living paycheck to paycheck. Money has rules, just like every other area of life. If you don't know the rules of a game, you're guaranteed to lose, no matter how much effort you put in. Think about it. If you sat down at a chessboard without knowing how the pieces moved, would effort alone help you win? Of course not. Yet, that's exactly how many people live their financial lives. Moving pieces without understanding the strategy. They work long hours, they hustle, but without the knowledge of saving, budgeting, investing, and managing debt, they stay in the same place year after year. And here's the dangerous part: ignorance in finance is expensive. It costs you opportunities. It costs you security. It costs you freedom. Every time you swipe a credit card without knowing how interest compounds, every time you avoid learning about investing because it feels complicated, every time you leave your money sitting idle because you're afraid to take risks, you're paying the price for that lack of education. And those small costs add up to a lifetime of struggle. But financial education isn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet. It's about mindset. It's about shifting from being reactive with money to being proactive. Most people wait until there's a crisis to think about finances. The car breaks down, now they worry. The bills pile up, now they worry. The rent is due, now they panic. But those who are financially educated plan ahead. They understand that money isn't just for today, it's a tool for building tomorrow. They don't let emergencies destroy them because they've prepared. They don't fear the future because they've built a foundation. And let's be clear, financial education is not reserved for the wealthy or the elite. It's not about being a math genius or having a degree in economics. It's about learning the basics that anyone can understand. How to track your expenses, how to build a budget, how to avoid high interest debt, how to start investing, even with small amounts. These are skills that anyone, anywhere, can learn if they're willing. And once you learn them, they become weapons. They give you control in a world where so many feel powerless. I know some people avoid financial education because it feels overwhelming, almost intimidating. They say, it's too complicated, I'll never understand it. But remember, everything is complicated until you start. Driving was complicated before you got behind the wheel. Cooking was complicated before you learned the steps. The same is true with money. You don't need to know everything on day one. You just need to take one step at a time. Read one book, watch one educational video, ask one mentor for advice. Every piece of knowledge you gain puts you in a stronger position than yesterday. Another reason people ignore financial education is pride. Some think, I don't need that, I already know enough. But the world is constantly changing. New technologies, new markets, new opportunities. If you stop learning, you fall behind. The wealth gap exists not just because of income differences, but because some people commit to continually learning how money works, while others refuse. Knowledge compounds just like interest, and the sooner you start, the greater the payoff. And here's something crucial. Financial education isn't just about personal gain, it's also about legacy. When you learn how to manage money, you don't just improve your life. You set an example for your family, your children, your community. You break the cycle of ignorance that keeps generation after generation stuck in the same struggles. Imagine the power of teaching your kids how to save, invest, and grow their money before they ever enter the workforce. That knowledge alone can change the entire trajectory of their lives. So don't underestimate the cost of ignoring financial education. Don't think you can stumble through life without it and still come out on top. Success doesn't reward ignorance. Money doesn't stay with those who don't understand it. The choice is yours. Stay in the dark or take responsibility for your own financial growth. Because if you refuse to learn about money, money will always control you. One of the most destructive habits that keeps people poor is the lack of discipline in saving. And when I say saving, I don't just mean putting a few dollars aside when it's convenient or when you happen to have extra. I mean building the consistent habit of paying yourself first, no matter how much or how little you earn. Because here's the truth. If you wait until you feel like you can afford to save, you'll never save. There will always be another bill, another expense, another reason to push it off until later, and later never comes. The lack of saving discipline traps people in survival mode. They go through life balancing on a tightrope, one paycheck away from disaster. If the car breaks down, if the credit card comes out, if a medical bill shows up, they panic. If a job loss happens, their whole world collapses. Why? Because there was never a cushion, never a safety net, never that small reserve of strength in the background to keep them steady. Living without savings is like walking into a storm without an umbrella. You might survive, but you're going to get soaked every single time. The real danger is that people often underestimate how powerful saving actually is. They think, what difference does it make if I put away $10 a week? That won't change anything. But what they fail to see is that saving isn't about the size at the beginning. It's about the habit. $10 a week turns into $40 a month. That's almost $500 a year. Do that for 10 years and you've built a foundation that most people never even start. And once you get disciplined, the amount naturally grows, because saving isn't just about money. It's about mindset. It's about teaching yourself that not every dollar that comes in needs to go out. Discipline in saving creates freedom. When you have savings, you don't have to say yes to every opportunity out of desperation. You can walk away from a toxic job because you know you'll survive a few months without income. You can invest when the right opportunity comes along because you actually have capital to put in. You can help your family without putting yourself in danger. Without savings, every decision is made in fear. With savings, decisions are made with power. Now, here's something important. Saving is not about being cheap. It's not about hoarding money or refusing to enjoy life. It's about balance. Too many people hear the word saving and immediately think of deprivation, like it means giving up everything they love. But in reality, saving is what allows you to enjoy life more fully. Think about how much better that vacation feels when you pay for it in cash, instead of dragging it home on a credit card. Think about how much lighter you feel buying something you love, when you know it doesn't endanger your ability to pay bills. Saving doesn't limit joy. It multiplies it because it removes the stress and guilt that comes when you spend money you don't really have. The challenge, of course, is discipline. And discipline means consistency. It means saving when it's easy and saving when it's hard. It means treating saving like a non-negotiable bill you owe yourself. Because if you don't prioritize yourself, no one else will. Employers won't build your emergency fund for you. The government won't swoop in and make sure you're financially secure. That's your responsibility. And the people who rise out of poverty are the ones who take that responsibility seriously. Some might say, but I don't make enough to save. I understand that feeling, but even if you can only set aside 1% of your income, do it. Build the muscle. Because here's the truth. If you can't save when you make a little, you won't magically save when you make a lot. More money doesn't change your habits, it amplifies them. if your habit is to spend everything, then earning more just means you'll spend more. If your habit is to save, if then earning more will accelerate your growth. The discipline you practice today, with whatever you have, is what prepares you for the bigger opportunities tomorrow. And saving isn't just about emergencies. It's also about building wealth. The money you save today can eventually be invested to generate income tomorrow. But you can't invest what you don't have. You can't grow what you never planted. Savings are the seeds. Without them, there's no harvest. With them, you create the possibility of something greater. So understand this: a lack of discipline in saving isn't just about missing a habit. It's about missing the foundation of financial freedom. You can't build a house on sand, and you can't build wealth without savings. The habit may feel small, it may feel slow, but it is the most powerful step you can take to break free from poverty. Because at the end of the day, the money you keep will always matter more than the money you make. Another habit that keeps people stuck in poverty is relying on just one source of income. For most people, that source is their job. And while there's nothing wrong with having a job, in fact, it's honorable, it becomes dangerous when it's the only stream keeping you afloat. Because what happens when that stream dries up? What happens when the company downsizes, when your industry changes, when health issues stop you from working, or when the economy takes a hit? Suddenly, everything you've built is at risk. Not because you weren't working hard, but because you never created another lifeline. Relying only on one paycheck is like standing on one leg. It might keep you upright for a while, but it doesn't take much to knock you off balance. And that's exactly why so many people live in fear. They're terrified of losing their jobs, terrified of asking for time off, terrified of any change in the system, because deep down, they know they have no backup plan. Fear becomes the chain that keeps them in place. And when fear controls you, freedom is impossible. The reality is, wealthy people think differently. They don't rely on one stream of income. They create multiple. Some are big, some are small, but they're layered in such a way that even if one dries up, the others continue to flow. That's how they create stability. That's how they create freedom. And here's the key: you don't need millions to start. You don't need a business degree or some huge opportunity. You start where you are, with what you have, and you build slowly. It could be something as simple as freelancing in your free time, selling products online, investing in dividend, paying stocks, or renting out a room in your house. It could be building a small side business that grows over the years. It could even be turning a skill or hobby into something people will pay for. The point isn't how big it starts. The point is that you're planting more than one seed. Because when you plant multiple seeds, you give yourself the chance to harvest in multiple seasons. Now, some people resist this idea because they think, I already work so hard, I don't have time for anything else. and I understand that. But think about this. If you keep doing what you're doing, will anything actually change? Or will you just keep running harder on the same treadmill? Yes, it takes effort. Yes, it takes sacrifice, but ask yourself which is harder. Putting in some extra hours to build a second stream now, or living with the anxiety of knowing your entire financial future depends on one paycheck. Another excuse people make is that they're waiting for the perfect opportunity. They say, I'll start something when I find the right idea, when I have more money, when the timing is better. But the perfect opportunity doesn't exist. Waiting for perfect is just another form of procrastination. The truth is, small imperfect steps done consistently will take you further than waiting for a flawless plan that never comes. And this is not just about making more money. It's about reclaiming control. When you rely on only one source of income, your life is in someone else's hands. Your boss decides your hours, your salary, even your worth. But when you have multiple streams, you take that power back. You're no longer desperate. You can walk away from what doesn't serve you. You can negotiate from a position of strength. You can live with confidence instead of fear. The other benefit of creating multiple streams is growth. Each stream teaches you something new. New skills, new perspectives, new opportunities. One door often opens to another. The side hustle you start today may not make you rich tomorrow, but it could evolve into something you never imagined. And that's how wealth is built. Not by luck, not by waiting for a lottery ticket, but by consistently creating, building, and diversifying. Think of it like a river. A river doesn't stay full because of one stream. It stays full because many streams flow into it. If one dries up, the river still runs. Your financial life is the same. You want multiple flows pouring in so that your river never runs dry. So, if you're serious about breaking free from poverty, stop relying on just one paycheck, one job, one stream. Start building others. Even if they're small, even if they're slow, even if they feel insignificant at first, because over time, those streams add up. And one day, they won't just keep you afloat. They'll carry you forward. Another habit that keeps people locked in financial struggle is poor management of both time and money. These two are more connected than most people realize. Time is life's most valuable resource, and money is the tool that allows us to shape how we use that time. Yet so many people waste both without even noticing. They spend their days reacting instead of planning, and they spend their money chasing instant gratification instead of securing their future. That cycle of mismanagement creates a trap that feels comfortable in the short term, but devastating in the long run. Let's start with time. Everyone gets the same 24 hours. But not everyone uses them the same way. Some people invest their time into learning, building, creating, and setting themselves up for tomorrow. Others spend hours scrolling, binge, watching, gossiping, or drifting through the day without any direction. And here's the painful truth. If you waste your time, you waste your life. Because time is the one thing you can't get back. Money lost can be earned again, but time wasted is gone forever. And when time management is poor, it usually shows up in money as well. The two go hand in hand. When someone doesn't value their time, they often don't value their money either. They spend without tracking, without planning, without asking, does this move me closer to my goals or push me further away? They get caught in the endless cycle of small, impulsive purchases, fast food, gadgets, subscriptions they don't even use, and then wonder why their accounts are empty. It's not that they didn't earn enough. It's that they let their money slip away without intention. Managing money poorly is like carrying water in a bucket full of holes. No matter how much you pour in, it leaks out until nothing is left. And the worst part is, poor management creates dependency. When you mismanage time, you're always behind, rushing, unprepared, never in control. When you mismanage money, you're always borrowing, always stressed, always at the mercy of someone else. Together, they form a prison. You don't just lose freedom, you lose confidence. You lose the ability to dream bigger because you're too busy cleaning up yesterday's mess. But here's the encouraging part: management is not about perfection. It's about awareness. Time management doesn't mean scheduling every minute of your life. It means recognizing what truly matters and making room for it. Money management doesn't mean never spending. It means spending with purpose. It's about knowing where your time and money are going and making sure they align with your bigger vision. For example, instead of wasting 3 hours a night on distractions, imagine using one of those hours to learn a skill that could increase your income. Instead of letting small expenses drain your account without noticing, imagine tracking them and redirecting even a fraction into savings or investments. Small changes compound over time. Just like poor management creates chaos, good management creates momentum. And momentum is powerful. When you start managing your time well, you find you have more of it. Suddenly, if you're no longer rushing from one thing to another, you're calmer, more focused, more intentional. When you start managing your money well, you find you don't need to stress over every bill or emergency. You have a plan. You have structure. That sense of control builds confidence, and confidence leads to bigger opportunities. The problem is that most people confuse being busy with being productive and spending money with enjoying life. But being busy doesn't mean you're moving forward. It just means you're moving. And spending doesn't mean you're happy. It just means you're consuming. True progress, true joy comes from alignment. When your time and money reflect your values, your goals, and your future. This requires discipline, and discipline often feels uncomfortable at first. Saying no to distractions, saying no to unnecessary purchases, saying yes to planning ahead. It doesn't always feel fun in the moment, but discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. And without it, you'll always feel like you're running hard, but staying in the same place. Think about it like this. Every hour you waste and every dollar you mismanage is a missed opportunity. But every hour you invest and every dollar you direct intentionally is a step toward freedom. The question is, how many steps are you willing to take? Because at the end of the day, wealth is not built on luck. It's built on consistent, intentional choices about how you use your time and your money. Another powerful but often overlooked habit that keeps people trapped in poverty is carrying a negative mindset toward wealth. So many people walk through life with beliefs about money that quietly sabotage them before they ever even start. They've been told things like, money is evil, rich people are greedy, or people like us can't get ahead. And without questioning those ideas, they accept them as truth. But what happens when you believe money is evil? You push it away. What happens when you believe wealth is impossible? You never pursue it. The mind shuts the door long before reality even has a chance to open it. A negative mindset about money doesn't just show up in words. It shows up in behavior. If you think wealth is only for the lucky few, you won't bother learning how to build it. If you think you'll always be broke because your parents were broke, you'll repeat their patterns without even realizing it. If you believe money makes people selfish, you'll subconsciously sabotage yourself anytime you start to get ahead, just so you don't become one of them. It's like trying to run a race while holding yourself back by the shirt. You can move, but you'll never move freely. The truth is, money itself isn't good or bad. It's neutral. It's a tool. In the hands of a greedy person, it magnifies greed. In the hands of a generous person, it magnifies generosity. The problem isn't money. It's the mindset surrounding it. And if you want to escape poverty, the first shift has to happen in your mind. You have to see wealth as something possible for you, something worth striving for, something that can empower you to create change. Without that belief, no strategy, no opportunity, no plan will ever stick. One of the most damaging beliefs people carry is the idea that wealth comes only from luck or privilege. Yes, circumstances matter. Yes, some people start ahead, but holding on to that belief keeps you stuck because it convinces you that your efforts don't matter. And if you think your efforts don't matter, you won't give your best. You won't push through challenges. You'll quit early because you've already decided the game is rigged. But when you shift your mindset to see effort as meaningful, to see learning as valuable, to see opportunities as real, suddenly you begin to act differently. And those actions, over time, change your circumstances. Another toxic mindset is the fear of success itself. You'd be surprised how many people subconsciously fear what would happen if they actually got rich. They think, my family will resent me, or my friends will think I've changed, or I don't know if I could handle that responsibility. So they stay small to avoid judgment. But here's the reality. Success will always change you, but that doesn't mean it has to change you for the worse. It simply gives you more power to decide who you want to be. If you're kind without money, you can be even kinder with it. If you're generous without money, you can be even more generous with it. Wealth doesn't erase your character. It amplifies it. And then there's the mindset of scarcity. This is one of the most common traps. People with a scarcity mindset believe there's only so much to go around, so every win for someone else feels like a loss for them. They look at successful people with envy instead of inspiration. They hoard instead of creating. They see life as a pie with limited slices, instead of realizing you can bake another pie. But the truth is, opportunities are not scarce. They're abundant. Knowledge isn't scarce. It's everywhere. Ideas aren't scarce. They're unlimited. Scarcity is a lens you choose, not a reality you're forced to live in. Shifting to an abundance mindset doesn't mean pretending everything is easy or ignoring challenges. It means choosing to believe that growth is possible, that opportunities exist, and that wealth is not a privilege reserved for others, but a possibility for you. It means training yourself to ask, how can I make this work? Instead of saying, this will never work. It means seeing money not as something that slips away, but as something you can attract, direct, and grow. Your mindset shapes your destiny. Two people can face the same challenge. One sees a dead end, the other sees a lesson. One sees a wall, the other sees a ladder. The difference isn't the problem, it's the perspective. And when it comes to money, perspective is everything. Because if your mind rejects wealth, your life will reject it too. But if your mind welcomes it, your actions begin to align with building it. So, if you want to stop being poor forever, you must stop telling yourself stories that keep you poor. Stop saying money is evil. Stop saying you'll never get ahead. Stop saying it's not for people like you. Replace those words with new ones. Money is a tool, wealth is possible, and I can create it. Because the truth is, the richest soil for poverty is a negative mindset. And the only way to break free is to change the way you think.